So yeah, that's done. Just going to do an easy jog back, which will probably be about 500-600 meters, and then yeah, that's last hard session really. Just a little taper session next week, probably like 30 minutes at race pace for a little 5k run. Probably do that on the Wednesday, and yeah, nothing more to do, just making sure you don't get ill and feel good on race day.
Swim portion of the Ironman race has been canceled because of the rain from Hurricane Helene.
Everything else is going on as scheduled, but not the swimming.
All right guys, so this is the Chattanooga recap. We're not just over at the park to film the drunks. You all right, mate? How's it going? We're actually here to talk about triathlon and my last recent Ironman. So on Sunday I raced Ironman Chattanooga, second time I've been there. Unfortunately I didn't win it like last time, but off limited training, I think it was an alright performance. And during the video we'll delve into a few of the stats, some of the numbers, and what my thoughts were on how the race went, and what we've got coming up and everything like that.
So, Chattanooga, something unique happened. The swim ended up being cancelled, effectively turned into a completely different race. So, how did that end up going?
Yeah, so the swim got cancelled. We were getting the back end of Hurricane Helene, and I wasn't losing any sleep, to be honest, over the swim getting cancelled. But they decided to do a time trial start. So we went into the pro briefing, and then it was a case of drawing numbers out of a little bag, and depending on what number you drew was where you would end up starting with 30-second intervals. I ended up drawing number 12, so I started 6 minutes behind the first place person. I had Mickey Weiss a minute in front of me, which was good if I caught him, because we could have ended up working together, but I didn't really want to burn a lot of matches trying to catch him, and I didn't know whether or not he would try and stay away from me and ride at quite a high power at the start. So I was going to try and take things, hold on, let me go back a bit actually. Yeah, we had to draw numbers out of a hat. I'll go back from there. We had to draw numbers out of a hat, and I drew number 12, so started 6 minutes behind the leader. Then you had other people like Sam Long. He was about 6 minutes, I think, behind me, roughly. Cody Beals was another couple of minutes behind him. Andrew Streitz was around about that kind of time as well. I think he might have been about a minute behind Cody, or maybe just in front, something like that. And then because Augusta was cancelled, you had a few extras come to the race. So you had Jackson Laundry, and they ended up putting him right at the back. They put all the Augusta people behind the Chattanooga people, which was great for people like, going into the race, that turned out great for people like Cody and Andreas Streitz, because Jackson caught them up, and then that ended up forming a little bit of a pace line, and those guys were able to work together. But that's totally legal, and it was just luck of the draw, to be honest, where you picked the number. If Jackson hadn't have been in the race, it wouldn't have really helped them, because it turned out that Jackson was on a stormer on the bike and actually broke the Ironman world record bike time. You can argue that the course was a bit short, but even if it was the same distance as some of the other courses, it would have been around about the same kind of time as the previous world record. I think he biked 350. It was 6k short, so at the speeds he was going, it would have been about 7 minutes, so he would have done a 357. The course that has the record is 357, but whether or not that is bang on 180k is very unlikely, looking at the Ironman races where they're normally pretty short. So he was on a stormer. It also had 1,500 metres of climbing in, so it wasn't a flat course. It was on a main road, which I'm not too keen. I really preferred the old Ironman Chattanooga course, but considering it was a hilly course with 1,500 metres of climbing, a 350 bike split for 174 kilometres is going some. That ended up helping those guys. Sam Long was isolated by himself. I was by myself, and very unfortunately for me, after 25-30 minutes, and I'm going to be honest, this really pissed me off, I got a blocking penalty. I'm on the front 30 minutes into the ride. I don't even know that there's anyone with me. I'd caught a few people up at this point. I'm doing my own thing on the front of the group, and then I get a 1 minute penalty. I didn't actually know it was 1 minute at first. I thought it was a 5 minute penalty. And I said to the marshal, what's the penalty for? Like, bearing in mind, I'm completely on the front. I haven't been behind anyone since we started the ride. And she said, blocking. And I said, who have I blocked? She said, you're riding right out to the left. And I was riding out to the left. But in my defence, I thought the road was quite wet. And on the right, you were going through a lot of surface water on the main road. So I decided to ride on the left because it was cleaner. There wasn't puddles and stuff at that point. And normally, if someone tries to overtake you, I would normally shout on the left. I don't even know if anyone did try and overtake me. I didn't even see anyone. And bearing in mind the people that were behind me, I'd already caught for at least 30 seconds and some of them a minute and a half already into the ride. So it was very frustrating. And honestly, at first when I thought it was a 5-minute penalty, I nearly just did a 180 in the road, turned around and gave up, rode back home and thought I'll race Langkawi. You know, I was really, mentally it did take a bit of a toll. And then when I stopped, they said, what colour was the card? I told them it was a yellow card and they said, that's a 1-minute penalty. And it was almost like relief. Oh, I'm not out of the race. 1 minute at the end of the day in an Ironman isn't that big a deal, although it did cost me 2 positions in this race. I would have been 5th place, ended up in 7th, but it wasn't the end of the world. It was just very frustrating, and it did stop me from getting into the dynamics of the race because Adam Fay put in a big dig at the start of the ride. I decided not to go that hard at the start and just ride what kind of power I thought that I would be able to ride throughout the race, which I thought on this power meter that I'm using, around 300 watts would be a really good ride for me. So I thought I'll start off at 300, and if I'm on a good day, I'll be able to hold it to the end. And if Adam does happen to catch me when I'm riding at 300 watts, then I'll work together, and then when he fades, I'll carry on riding strong and I'll be able to use that to my advantage. That was my thinking in my head. He ended up getting to the back of the group just as I got the penalty, then I stopped. And I reckon I probably lost about a minute and a half because although it was a minute penalty, it was on a very fast part of the course where we were going 55 kilometers an hour. I had to slow down to 0. Then I had to start again. And obviously by the time you get into the tent, they're like, what's your number? What color card was it? Then they start the watch. So it probably lost me a minute and a half by the time I got going. I finished 50 seconds behind 5th place. So yeah, that did hurt a little bit. For me, the highlight of the race was we're running along and about 18 miles into the run, 17 miles, Adam Fay comes past me and I'm thinking, fuck's sake, like honestly, if I'm in my head, I'm thinking, fucking hell, like a position I've lost, like this is annoying. I don't really like it when people come past me on the run in Ironman because normally that's my strength. Although over the last year and a half, I haven't really ran particularly well, I haven't really biked particularly well, to be honest. But that's a different story, you know. In this race, I actually felt pretty good, to be fair. Like, I haven't got any excuses. I felt good. I felt like my old self. I just wasn't fit enough. Purely due to taking some time off for a whole host of reasons back in July. Took some time off. And then I got back into training in August from pretty much nothing. You know, I was at square one. I took 3 weeks off of doing literally nothing. Like, so I did feel a lot better. I needed that break. But anyway, I got back into training. And then the only options I had were Chattanooga, downstream swim, suits me, Barcelona, Spanish draft vest, motorbikes, they don't give a shit about drafted, it's going to be carnage. That was the second option. Or Langkawi, arse end of nowhere, 42 degrees, real field temperature. So the choices were pretty clear. If I wanted to race, it had to be Chattanooga, which was the first of them ones. There's only one other pro Ironman race the rest of the year, which is Ironman Arizona in November, right at the end of November. I didn't really fancy it. It just didn't really motivate me. If there was a Florida or if there had been an Arizona race in November or Western Australia, I would 100% done them and I would have been in a much better position because I really did need another 6 weeks. But at the end of the day, the races are when the races are. You know, you either show up or you don't. And I wanted to get one last race in, so decided to do Chattanooga anyway. Adam came past me, and as I said, I was a bit fucked off. I was like, I can't believe this. You know, you need to try and stay with him. And he gradually pulled away, and I timed him with 5Ks to go because we did this like hilly loop in the last 5 miles, and at the bottom of like the penultimate climb, I timed. He had 50 seconds on me, but bearing in mind he already started 30 seconds behind me, so he was 1 minute 20 ahead. So I'm thinking I need to take 1 minute 20 out of him. I've got 5K to do it, and I got a second wind. I don't know if it's because I took some caffeine. With about 7 or 8 miles to go, and it was just kicking in. But I got a second wind, and I managed to close the gap over the next 1.5 miles to 2 miles where we were level. And that was going over the bridge, which is, with about 1,200 meters to go, we were level. Or I was kind of just getting onto his shoulder. And I thought, it's downhill to the finish. Joe, just go for this position. You know you need to put 30 seconds into him and you've got another position in the bag. So I put a huge dig in. I really went for it. Last 900 meters, I managed to put a massive surge and average 3 minute per kilometer pace, and it was amazing. Finished really strong, but only took 24 seconds out of him in the last 900. He dug in, he was getting stretched away in a flipping wheelchair afterwards. I was like smashed after that, and it was really exciting. I absolutely loved it, and I would love to have that again. You know, I did really enjoy that bit, and for me, that was the whole highlight of the race. But also, funny enough, what it actually made me realise was, in these Ironman races, a lot more of it is mental than what you think, because had I been absolutely on the limit, I wouldn't have been able to pick it up and do the last 900 meters at 3 minutes per kilometer pace. You know, it was like 4:48 miling. You know, that's sub 15 minute per kilometer pace for a K, basically. And it made me think, you can do a lot more than what you think. A lot of it is mental, and it's about digging in, and it's about that slow suffering you get in an Ironman for a long, sustained period of time. And had I been on the limit, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But I was able to do it, and I really do think that for a lot of you guys that race the Ironman, you're capable of a lot more than what you think. Once you know you kind of like switch off a bit and you can really dig in, you'll be surprised actually you can pick the pace up, despite feeling like you couldn't. Like the last 5K, I was really slowing down on some of the hills. The pace was terrible, honestly. I mean, you do some steady runs at the same pace as what I was doing that, but you know, at the end of the day, I was able to pick it up, and yeah, that was a valuable lesson moving forward. So what's next? I'm going to be quick here because I don't want to bore you guys to death, but what is next for me is I took some time off, like I said, in July. I did this race in the build up to kind of like next season, really thinking ahead to next season. And I was wondering about taking a decent amount of time off after this or carrying on. Honestly, I feel fantastic. Mentally, I feel refreshed. Physically, I feel pretty good. I feel like I've really bounced out of Chattanooga quite good, and I've managed to tick over and do a bit of training this week. But I'm going to start on Monday. We're now on Friday, building up for next year. It's obviously going to be a slow build up still because we're only in October. It's not going to be rushing into anything, but all eyes are focusing on next year. And I'm honestly looking forward to doing Ironman New Zealand. That'll be my next race. So that's at the start of March. I think that is 5 months from now. So I've got just over 20 weeks really. And that's the next aim really, and the goal is just to get into some consistency, get a decent winter's training in, which is what I really think I need. I just need to get the run volume to a decent point and just keep it there for a while. Obviously get in some bike sessions, but you need to do the basics before you can do the more advanced stuff, and I just need to start from the basics, like I say, get that consistency, get some decent sessions in, but with a gradual slow progression, because obviously you increase it too quick, you end up getting burnout and you're smashed, and it was pointless. So I've got time now on my side. I feel really refreshed and I feel great. So I think I'm in a good position, and yeah, I'm looking forward to taking on New Zealand at the start of March, and I'm super motivated. I'm honestly really pleased I did Chattanooga. Like I say, I felt good. The result obviously was nowhere near as good as what I've done in the past. You know, where I've won the race and obviously won some other races, but it's all about how you feel in the day and what you feel like you got out of yourself. And I honestly felt like I got out where my fitness was at. Like, you know, the only thing I can do to get better results is just plain and simply get fitter. You know, you've only got what you've got on the day, and that was what I had. So the main thing was I felt good. If I'd have felt bad and done a better performance, I'd honestly be a bit disappointed because I'd be a bit perplexed as to where to go from here. But I know where to go. I'm in a good place, and I'm looking forward to building up, getting some more training videos in. Any other things that you guys want to see in the videos, let me know. We're always keen for ideas, but stuff was exciting, stuff was interesting to watch, not the typical boring stuff. So if you've got any good ideas, stuff that you think would make great videos, comment below, because we could really do with some ideas. We don't really want to keep putting the same repetitive stuff out all the time, but it's hard to think of new stuff. We're not as creative as what you might think, guys. All right, so comment below. See you later.